Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow, your home for all Golden Grizzlies basketball. My name is Giovanni Moceri. I am your host, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to help support the show and all we do in covering the Golden Grizzlies unlike anybody else. Follow us on Instagram at the GioMO Show, on Twitter at GioMoSherryWXOU, and keep up with all things using the hashtag the GioMo Show. So there has been a ton going on in the past two games since we last spoke with Neil Rule as far as Golden Grizzlies basketball is concerned. Two incredible high-scoring games on the blacktop, giving Golden Grizzlies fans a ton to watch, but probably the biggest headline coming out of this week was the fact that there wasn't many Golden Grizzlies, at least students, there to watch in Wednesday's game to open up the conference play against Purdue Fort Wayne. I'll lead the show off with that because I'm sure that's a lot of what you guys are expecting. Because so I'll set the stage for you guys who haven't been keeping up with it. I'll even take it back to the Defiance game, the true first home game for Oakland, where there wasn't much of a student section. And for the Defiance game, it's, I can't say I blame some of the students there because, whether the game is just because Kampe is from Defiance, Ohio, or if it's a contract of scheduled games that go on for a certain amount of time. But I mean, you're not going to draw a huge crowd with an NAIA team. Not their fault, but it's just how it is. But either way, in the press conference, somehow it came up where Kampe was upset about the attendance of the student section, especially because at that time, obviously, they were coming back from the first three games of the season, being against top three Michigan, number one Purdue, number one Houston. Like I think by the end of the season, all three of those teams are going to have a number one ranking at some point or another. So that Defiance game came off the heels of those games where Oakland performed decently well against literally the best in the country. Now, Kampe was upset about the attendance, saying, like, you guys have seen how we played, and we have this kind of style, and this, and that. And I posted that video from the press conference. It got 1,500 views, 1,500 views. Nothing crazy. Maybe it was because my face was the first thing you saw, and it wasn't just the clip itself. So he's mentioned that before. But then afterwards, the next time we visit the arena against Purdue Fort Wayne, that's when all hell broke loose in Kampe's mind as far as the student section was concerned. At the end of the press conference, I wanted to ask Coach about the temperature in the arena because if all of you aren't aware, there's major hot water issues on campus, a lot of closures of buildings, heating in a lot of the buildings on campus are dysfunctional, and the arena was going to be a little bit colder that day. I took some measurements. It was 20 outside. It was 65 inside. The press room was 83 degrees somehow. But I asked him if the temperature was any effect on the game. Just because everyone was talking about it. They were joking about it being an ice rink in there and how, bring a blanket, I was asking Coach, it wasn't that cold in there, right? It didn't affect you guys, right? Just giving him a chance to respond to all those online. And he said, I never thought about it once. That was the end of the answer to my question. The next 3 minutes of his response would be about the student section, about how he had only one disappointment in the game, and it wasn't that the facilities people, he was complimenting them, but it all led to that clip that went viral, got 11,000 views on Instagram, and others tens of thousands on Twitter from me, was about Kampe saying, quote, our student section is terrible. Those were the words he used, and he was very, obviously it was on his mind. He wanted to say it no matter what the question he was answering was. So that got a huge amount of attention. That ruffled a lot of feathers. And even in the social media posts after the game, kind of leading up to this most recent Toledo game, I could tell that the athletic department was responding to that right away, talking about how we need fans there. I even got the sleeping OU Grizz Gang and Barstool pages that originate on campus. I got them to respond to it too. They were posting stuff about it, saying how we have to show up and this, and that. It woke people up. It was a huge deal. Even other bigger outlets for college basketball were quoting Kampe and sharing, the clip that I took, even though they probably could have taken it from the YouTube stream of the press conference anyway. But it was my clip, technically. But whatever. Social media goes that way. But I got them to respond, and it was a huge deal. It was a big story. So that kind of set the stage for the Toledo game to either be Kampe being proven right or the campus responding and attending that game. And now let's take this to another angle here before we get into the attendance of the Toledo game. That's where I'm going with this. There was a lot of controversy in his statements, not so much in like the validity of them, because over the past few years, you guys know, if you guys know anything about me, I was big in the student section whenever I wasn't actually working the game, whether for WXOU or for the TV broadcast. I was front row, flag, headband, sunglasses, armband. I mean, like I did everything I could and was able to get the student section energetic, wild, and crazy. I had fun doing it, but I also felt it as part of a greater mission to get Oakland sports to be a bigger part of campus. And that's kind of why I continue the show here. So there's no doubt in my mind that I agree, I completely agree with Coach in that the student section is not what I have heard it used to be. It's lackluster. It doesn't show up a ton. And even when there's free pizza, whether it's coupons for buddies after the game or even before the game, kids still don't show up. Where it got a little bit crazy, where it got a lot of negative response from some, was the timing of it. The fact that campus was pretty much closed. The fact that the dorms, they pretty much sent everybody home until they fix it, which is, at this rate, I mean, I'm not as tuned into it, but it looks like it could be to the next semester when the heating is going to be taken care of, and then the campus dorms would be reoccupied. So that seemed to may have gotten lost in the wash in what Kampe was saying, but he didn't care. He was telling everyone to get mad at him. Like he still believed in what he said, but it still was like maybe a little bit of missing context there. Not a wrong statement, but a poorly timed one. So then that sets the stage for the attendance at the Toledo game, where it was military appreciation night as well. Campus was, from what maybe a little bit more opening up. It was a Saturday afternoon, so it a little bit more reason for more people to come, and that was very much true. That student section at those kind of high energy moments in that game, and there was a ton of them against Toledo. That place got wild. That place got loud. And yes, I understand that part of that a big part of that student section was the baseball team that was there for military appreciation night. They always hold the flag as the national anthem is being sung, as well as women's basketball was in attendance because they just previously played, I believe it was Cleveland State, as part of a doubleheader that day for Golden Grizzlies basketball. So yes, I understand the student athletes had to kind of supplement the attendance in the student section. But you know what? With all that's going on campus, I don't even see it as not counting as part of the student section. Although I can understand the argument, but the athletes, they're still students, and if they're cheering, that's really all that should matter. The swim team very often does that for the basketball team as well. They'll show up. If you guys remember 2 years ago, they were doing, it was called the Blacktop Barbershop, where they were shaving their heads in the student section during free throws, and it caused Cleveland State to miss a few free throws a couple of years ago. So swim team does it. Baseball, other sports do show up to support. And you know what? Whatever works, whatever counts, whatever fills it up. If it's not normal students, that's fine. You get somebody, and then at least breaks the ice for all those students or all those non-athletic students in attendance for that game. Because I think that's a huge part of student section activity, is somebody's got to be there to be wild and break the ice. It's so much easier to join into an existing chant and energy than it is to be brave enough and courageous enough to do it on your own and to start it yourself, to start a chant that might not catch on or maybe poorly rhythmed or does like that. Genuinely, there's a lot of social anxiety that goes into that, into creating a chant and starting that. So if you got somebody, whether it's swim team, baseball team, whoever, to do that and start that initially, it's a huge help. So I love that they were able to be in attendance for it. And they were all rewarded with a fantastic game against Toledo. I'll get more into the game breakdown in a little bit, but just as far as the atmosphere is concerned, you guys have seen what the GioMoShow has posted on social media. The team went into the student section after the game to high five and celebrate what was a nail-biter win against a really good mid-major team in Toledo that really gave back that kind of love that student section showed for them that game. I thought that was huge. I would love to see that be more of a tradition this season where they go up into the student section to high five and celebrate with them. Where previously they would just kind of walk by and give high fives to those in the front row. No, get into it, get involved, melt into that energy. I hope that's something that continues. And I really did enjoy that kind of action after the game. And Brody talked about it. I asked him about kind of the emotion in the game, and it kind of was a way of bringing up the student section. I didn't want to do it directly, but Brody talked about it in the post-game press conference as well, where they really do appreciate that energy, and they wanted to kind of give it back. And, they're confident that they're a good team, and they can continue to put on performances like that. And Kampe says that, it's not quite, the student section's not quite there yet. He doesn't want it to just say, hey, good job, we won. No, it's a continuing battle for him, but he's saying that it's improving. And if this early in the season, it can be that way and it can continue, then now we're talking about old school Grizz gang attendance. So I wanted to open up the show with that. It was so much fun to be there covering the game with that kind of energy. But let's get into the games on their own. First one being Wednesday night against Purdue Fort Wayne. Oakland was able to win their first conference game against the Mastodons in a nose-bleeding, high-scoring 101-92. Now, they gave up a ton of points to Mr. Hadnot, another one of the many returners to the Mastodon roster, but still Oakland able to get it done. The highlight of the box score was Brody Robinson, who we'll be getting into more specifically in just a little bit. But 27 points for Brody led the Golden Grizzlies, along with 4 other in the mid to low double digits of points. Isaac Garrett had 15. Nassim Mashore had 13. Rue and Hogue had 12. Zaire Wells, Brett White had 9. I mean, ton of scoring, very spread out. You score 100 points, you're going to spread it out amongst the team. But very high scoring affair. 44.8% from beyond the arc was crazy. Robinson was 4 of 8 involved in that. Nassim Mashore was 3 of 7 involved in that. Brett White was 3 of 6 involved in that. All of that beyond the arc. And just kind of continuing to show that Oakland's offense is spectacular this season. I'll break down the numbers in a little bit, but I wanted to point that out as well. And as well as Corey, as far as Corey Hadnot, 33 for him. He was 4 of 9 beyond the arc as well. DeAndre Craig, 22 points for the Mastodons. Just to kind of shout out them as well. But otherwise, very top-heavy scoring for the Mastodons. Oakland was able to hold everyone else into single digits on Purdue Fort Wayne's team. And then we'll get into the Toledo game in a broad stroke of the brush. Were against the Rockets, another nosebleed 98-97 win for the Golden Grizzlies. A ton of fun in this one. Brody Robinson once again leads the Golden Grizzlies in scoring with 19. Am I reading the Toledo one? Yes. With 19, I got the actual stats they print out at the game here. 19 points, 3 of 7 from deep, 9 assists. In addition to that, this one was a little bit more spread out as well. 5 Golden Grizzlies in double digits, 5 Rockets in double digits as well for Toledo. But Baru had 18, Michael Hogue had 17, and Zaire Wells was the one who led the Golden Grizzlies in scoring with 21 points, matching his season high that he had in the second game of the season against Purdue and having the game-winning bucket. They got the replay on the men's basketball Instagram page and Twitter accounts, but basically, with the clock winding down, final possession, he went from the right elbow, drove all the way to the left, put it up and in with about 10 seconds left, leaving Oakland to defend the last possession, and they were able to do so and lock up the win, that being the 20th and 21st point for Zaire Wells in that game. And I'll tell you what, I want to talk about Zaire a little bit. He's just so, he's smooth with it. When he's up in the air, his hang time is crazy. He literally, his feet walk in midair while he's going up, whether in transition or going up for a floater in front of the cup. He floats in midair. It's incredible to see. I don't understand the physics behind it, but he can hang in the air for such a long time. It gives him a lot of flexibility with how he finishes at the rim. He's just a spectacular player. He can shoot from deep as well. He's pretty much a Swiss Army knife, it feels like. His skill set can do pretty much anything offensively that is needed. for Oakland. So he's just a ton of fun to watch. I wanted to shout him out as well. But to kind of bring this to a bigger point of Oakland's offense, I took some numbers here. I have compiled not only in their past 2 games of this week that we'll be covering specifically on this episode, but also the past 6 games that they've played after Defiance. So we'll kind of frame it into, it's not against the top 3 in the country, and it's not against an NAIA. Against similar, tough, mid-major competition, these past 6 games, those are the stats that I'm going to be taking for the Golden Grizzlies. So their offense so far this season, they're 3rd in the Horizon League with 86.4 points per game, but that's in total. They're 3rd in total. But if you look at just the past 6 games, 91.8 points per game, that would be far and away the top of the Horizon League. And since the NCAA stats haven't quite updated for the Toledo game, as of December 6th, that 91.8 points per game would be 17th in the country in points per game. Huge. There are some national numbers to be had in here. So they're one of the top offenses in the Horizon League. And specifically in the past 2 games this week, 9 points scored. That's 99.5 points per game on average. They were 40.4% from deep, 19 of 47 in those past 2 games. 6 points in the paint. That's 53 per game, and 48 assists and only 16 turnovers. That's 24 assists to 8 turnovers. That is a very even 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio as a whole in 6 games in a row against tough mid-major competition that's a little bit up from what we'll see in the Horizon League. These numbers don't lie, okay? It's a decent enough sample size against good, tough competition, still in the mid-major level. That is what we can expect from Oakland for the rest of the season, hopefully. That's Kampe's goal. That's been kind of the identity of this team so far. High-flying offense, great plays, high-scoring games. I do wonder, I wish I asked him this in the press conference, but is this pace like too much? Is this the heights he wanted to rev this engine at, or is this a little bit on the higher end, maybe try and control it a little bit? Because this is, these past few games all being in the 90s, like that, I can imagine that being a little bit tough to sustain throughout the season. I wonder if the defense starts to catch up to things, if that will kind of slow down a little bit, keep it more of a controlled speed, not going just 70 on the freeway, not going 100, but, going a nice 85 on the freeway. I feel like that's like a good pace for Oakland to go. I mean miles per hour when we're driving, of course. So I'm curious to see if this pace is going to continue or kind of rev down a little bit. Now that's the offense. The defense, that's going to take a little bit of time to catch up. The zone always takes a little bit of time to develop and for everyone to learn it. It's really just Marshall, Baru, and Nassim. First names, last names mixed up, but whatever. Those 3 returning Golden Grizzlies are really the only ones who have seen the zone before. Baru going to be a big part of teaching that as well. It takes a while for it to get going. So with that in mind, the defense over the past 6 games is also pretty much dead last in the Horizon League, 10th place, only 1 above last place. In the past 2 games, they've given up 94.5 points per game, and over that past 6 since Defiance, they've given up 88 a game. That's a little troubling. That's a little concerning. That's where it gets me nervous as to okay, can we really keep up an offense that is in the upper 90s every game to make up for giving up 88 a game? I think as the defense develops, this might normalize a little bit to a more of a sustainable rate. So that goes for the offense and defense. This still is what Kampe described in the preseason as this crazy circus act type of offensive basketball. And it's a ton of fun, honestly. It's been electric to watch in the arena. And when this place gets loud, listen, when the arena gets loud, it's loud, okay? It's huge. It's crazy. There's no bad seat in the house. You guys have heard me talk about my love for the arena before, where, yes, it's 4,000, but it's 4,000 intimate, close seats. Kevin Beers has described it as, you're involved in the game. If the stadium is big enough, you're kind of watching a fishbowl, but you are in the bowl with the Golden Grizzlies at the arena. That's what I love about it. But I want to get to specifically Brody Robinson, not only these past 2 games, but in his past, group of them. Remember, he was the MVP of the Montana and Lamar MTE, the Blaine Taylor Classic. He was the MVP of those games. He scored 17 and a half per game, 3.5 rebounds, and 9 assists in those 2 games against Lamar and Montana. He then follows those up with 2 home games in the arena, 23 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 8.5 assists. He is continuing to be a insanely spectacular point guard for the Golden Grizzlies. Last time when we talked to Neil Rule, he talked all about him, and he'll give you, listen, any excuse for him to talk about Brody Robinson, he will talk your ear off for it, because he loves this dude, and so do I. He's tough as nails, a little bit undersized, yes, but fearless and very confident when he has the ball. And I'll tell you what, when he's off ball too, that's just as dangerous, because there's been a few times where it wasn't him bringing the ball up, but he's moving around, scrambling for an open shot for 3, and he's good enough to take it. And he's got the green light to take these threes. So on and off the ball, this dude is nuts. He is, and I'll take it to the Horizon League level of statistics. He's third in the league in scoring. He's got 16.7 points per game over the whole season. But remember, the past 2, it's been 23 points per game. He's first in the Horizon League in assists per game, 6.2, and it's a pretty big gap between him and the second place. I got the Horizon League stats with me, as a matter of fact. He's number 1 with 6.2. Finley Woodwork of IU Indy is a whole assist down, 5.2 per game. And then from there, you get into the 4s. Like, Brody is far and away leading the Horizon League in assists. And that kind of made me think, Oakland has seen a national leading assister before with their point guards. Jalen Moore was number 1 in the nation in assists once before. So I took a look at the NCAA statistics, and I saw, now again, these were not updated to the Toledo game where Brody had another 8 assists, but when he had 5.9 assists per game, that was 29th in the nation. And then now at the 6.2 that he's had after the Toledo game, that would be 20th in the nation in assists. He's up there. Keep an eye on him in the NCAA statistics. He's going to be in that, if he can keep this up, he's going to be up there in that top 25, top 20 in the nation in assists. Keep an eye out for it. Kampe has done it before with his point guards. So he's just on a tear right now, and we're just getting started here in this season. Yes, there's going to be ebbs and flows to it. There's a lot of a season to go, and there's still an entire conference left to play. But let me be happy about this. This is awesome. This kid is nuts. He's incredible. He's got a crazy front court to be able to work with as well. So Oakland can really play through him or play through their bigs kind of at will. Whatever the challenge is, they can pick which way they play on offense at least. And it's awesome to see. Now, in a Toledo game specifically, I mentioned that there's still some concerns on defense. And I asked Coach about the rebounding when it came to Toledo because it was a staggering 44-28 rebounding advantage to Toledo. 17 offensive rebounds to Oakland 7. It was kind of concerning. The game was going like back and forth, 20 lead changes in this game. It was really going back and forth, and I'm looking at the stats. I'm like, wait a minute. At halftime, it was 25-15 in total rebounds. And I'm looking, and the gap is continuing to grow. I asked Coach about it, and he honestly didn't seem too horribly concerned about it, owing it more to the pace of play, Toledo taking long shots, long rebounds, the way the game went. Sometimes the rebounds just find the other team. Like, okay, it happens, and it's not necessarily something that was a problem in previous games. You look at the Purdue Fort Wayne game just previous; they out-rebounded the Mastodons by 10. So it's, it wasn't a concern, but I kept my eye on it. But I was just shocked to see 44-28 against Toledo. So it's not perfect, and there's still things that need to be refined for Oakland. But still, I'm still really excited about this team. It's still a lot of fun to watch. There's still, they were picked number 2 in the league for a reason, even though in my conversation with Baru, he could care less about it. Grandstanding for a future that nobody even knows is how he said it. Take that with a grain of salt, but still, I'm really excited about this team. I'm really excited for the games they got coming up. And once we get into Horizon League play, It is going to be fun. Their next game coming up is going to be on next Saturday at Northern Iowa before we dip back into the conference play side of things when they're on the road against Northern Kentucky, and then leading us to the Little Caesars Arena game against Michigan State. And I do have to spoil for you guys, I unfortunately will not be able to attend such a game. I'll have to watch it on TV, watch it back like a schmuck, like a loser, because basically I have an alumni meet for Dakota Swim and Dive that I'm hosting, and that was the only day we could do it. And for whatever reason, the game's at noon. Why is the game at noon? That's just nuts to me. If it was any other time during the day, I'd be able to make it, but no, they have to make it a noon game on Big Ten Network. But if you don't want to watch it on Big Ten Network, WXOU will be there, so don't you worry. We always got our radio station there. That one was a ton of fun for me to call last year, and I hope the staff this year will be able to enjoy that as well. So if you want a free broadcast, and Neil maybe isn't quite your style, unfortunate to hear, but WXOU's got you covered as well on YouTube. Subscribe to them at WXOU Sports on YouTube. I started that YouTube channel, and they're continuing it with fantastic coverage. But all that to say, Oakland does not come back to the arena until the new year, January 4th, Sunday at 3 o'clock, where they'll face the reigning Horizon League regular season and tournament champions and Robert Morris. There was a little bit of beef between those two teams as far as last season was concerned, enough to where Kampe was suspended for one game for his actions with the referees afterwards. So, and also they eliminated Oakland in the Horizon League tournament last year. So there's some recent beef with Robert Morris, who is still, I believe, sporting their Horizon League Player of the Year and Alvaro Fulgaris. I stand corrected. He's actually an Iowa Hawkeye this season. Never mind. But either way, the beef still stands for Oakland against Robert Morris. But anyway, that's the next time we'll see the Golden Grizzlies in the arena, January 4th, Sunday at that 3 o'clock. But otherwise, we'll have to watch them on TV or listen to them on WXOU for that Michigan State game. So we cannot wait to see what the Golden Grizzlies turn into as far as the Horizon League season goes, because that's really all that matters when it comes to this season. Everything else before that has been in preparation for it. So it's time to make some noise, get back to Indianapolis, and get back to the top of the Horizon League. And 1-0 sure does help in that standings after their win against Purdue Fort Wayne. So in the next time we talk here on the GioMoShow, we'll talk about that game against Northern Iowa and what we got coming up against Northern Kentucky and Michigan, Northern Kentucky and Michigan State. We'll cover all that here on the GioMoShow. Stay tuned and subscribe. Rate, review for more great interviews with those involved in Oakland basketball. We may see Jake Masucci again. We may see Coach Smitty once again. We'll have great guests for you guys. Don't you worry. So, my name is Giovanni Moceri here for the GioMoShow, and we'll see you soon.